Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name is Hayden.
Oh, it's got some harmony on your Monday morning, yeah.
I genuinely reckon, right? I know this is unhinged, but I think we should make an album.
You said this so many times.
There's something funny. Just the idea, what you guys think, okay? Because you can tell from our voices, right? Would be great. I think we should make an album because I think, unironically, it would be quite funny.
No, do you mean like... Do you mean because you think it would be good, therefore funny?
Yeah.
Because there's two ways about it. It's like make an album and it's just like trash. And it's
How funny would that be?
Like, you're saying basically it would be funny to drop like a full-on album where it's actually all right.
Yeah, try really hard. Try really, really hard.
I don't think we're good enough.
I think we could be the Backstreet Boys.
I don't think we're good enough.
Too.
I don't think we're good
Do you
enough.
know what I think?
No, I'm going to work on my harmonies.
Desync.
I think we should stop trying to be down with the kids.
How was your Father's Day?
Fine. That seems like a load. Are you asking me for a reason?
No, I'm asking you because you're a father and you have a child,
right?
And I wondered what you were up to.
It was nice. It was lovely.
Why else would I be asking?
You're looking at me like you're waiting for me to finish so that you can tell me about yours.
No. Okay, all right. I actually am. To be fair.
Yeah, go on.
So you've done your token finish.
Mine was fine.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
So I went to McDonald's that morning because I had to pick up the shopping, and I always go from McDonald's on the way.
Always.
Right. Two things. Firstly, I always use the McDonald's app to gather points.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I'll spend these one day.
Yeah.
Found out the other day, they've been expiring. I've been sat on like 35,000 McDonald's points for the last few months.
Wait a minute.
Right?
Can someone listening please work out how much money that means you spent on
It's really simple, by the way, because it's £1,000 per pound. So it's 35 quid. Oh, how much I've spent on it? I don't know. Actually.
I meant from the
points. To get the points.
Right.
Yeah, hundreds of quid. Anyway, so that's worth like £35 worth of McDonald's. It's already been going up much recently. I realised they expire. They've been expiring. So the points I earned like a year ago have been expiring. So I've not been spending them.
You've not been redeeming anything for a year.
So I need to start redeeming.
I think that's on you.
I mean, it is on me, but I want
you go
to see
every
how
week.
High. They could have gone up. Like, to imagine getting like 100,000 McDonald's points.
Well, I can't imagine it now. Not really, is it? Is it a flex when the only way you get them is by spending your money with them?
Yeah. Anyway, right. That's not the point of the story. I was going through the drive-thru early Sunday morning. And as soon as I got that, I literally said, oh, good morning. I was like, hiya. He was like, Hayden.
No
the guy,
way.
he's American, right?
No
he recognized me from the two words that I said straight away. I was like, here we go. It's my usual guy that's here.
Just quickly telling you, they've got cameras so they can see your car.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, so if he can see me, he knows it's me then.
Yeah.
But why would he not say straight away then, Hayden, welcome back, rather than saying like...
Don't ask me. Ask
I
him.
don't know. I'm just saying like...
So this fella, he serves you all the time?
He serves me all the time. Lovely American dude, right? And I got around to the window and I said, I just said, because I thought I better ask, because it is Father's Day and he's working. It's like 8 a.m. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, are you a father?
Because most fathers would be at home with their kid at this point, obviously.
I just thought,
right?
No, because
obviously be at home with the kid, not going through a McDonald's drive-thru on their own.
Yeah, shut up.
It's 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, why else would you be here?
Oh no, this poor guy's at McDonald's at 8 a.m. Me also there. Anyway, I was like, so are you a father? He said, no. I said, oh well. I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh well. Happy Father's Day anyway, I guess. And he said to me, I shit you not, he said to me, well, you can call me daddy if you want. In like a seductive way, I'm not even joking. He said, well, he looked at me and he was smirking. I think he was probably thinking,
he's joking, yeah.
Can I blur this boundary? Like this guy is here every bloody week. Do you know what I mean? Like buying a McDonald's. I think I can blur this boundary. Well, you can call me daddy if you want to. In like this accent really does it was like that. I didn't know what to do. I was just like,
thank you, daddy.
I was like, oh God. I said crikey or something. I was like, well, crikey. Yeah. Will do.
Will do, daddy.
Go forward to the next window, please.
Oh God.
So that was my Father's Day morning.
Next time you go, can you say, without even knowing it's him yet?
Yeah.
Make the risk of just saying, hi, daddy. And just wait to see.
In the tannoy thing?
Just wait to see who it is. And then it'll be like, hello. Gosh, sorry. Do you know who it will be?
Some kid we taught.
We went through the drive-thru. And it was a kid we taught. He's 18 now. And we were like, oh, nice one. It'll be him.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Did my ex-teacher just call me daddy?
Sorry, I thought it was that American guy that I see sometimes.
Who is my daddy?
Who is my actual daddy. So if you see him, could you say hello, daddy, from me, your old teacher? Oh God. Anyway, I had to say that story because I just thought it was ridiculous and quite funny.
We haven't actually done little anecdotes in a while, so that's nice little one. Let us know what you think of that. Were you here to listen to questions and answers about education, or Hayden receiving a new daddy on Father's Day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Daddy,
we
let's
do have
move
your
on.
questions. Shall I read the first one?
Yeah, go on then.
You can join the community down below, by the way, and submit your questions, which we often ask for in there. Just saying, and leaves a review. First question: advice for getting a new tricky class. I have been told by their previous teacher that they are, quote, the most difficult class they've had in their 11 years of teaching.
Wow.
For context, I am in year 1. This will be my 4th class.
What I find interesting about teachers is that somehow every single year it's the most difficult class we've ever had, isn't it? The amount of times I've heard someone say that was the most difficult class I've ever had in my career does not add up to like the probability of that really being the most difficult class.
Well, could it have? I do think there is a thing to say that classes have been getting trickier and trickier.
Perhaps,
like you could just have 4 years in a row more and more difficult.
Yeah,
children.
It's true. It's just fun, isn't it? Because I do feel like there's a running thing of everyone. It's always the trickiest. It's like in the moment it's the trickiest, and you kind of forget about it. Then you have another tricky class, maybe less tricky a few years later.
What do you think
about
about
the most tricky?
Like a teacher saying that to the next teacher? Like, because I always thought to myself during transition days and like, you know, when you pass over notes to the next teacher, etc. I always really made a conscious effort to be really factual about like the needs of the children, or maybe like the difficulties maybe around like this tricky parent maybe.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a fact. You can say that this parent has done this and this year. It's been quite hard to handle, or this child has done that.
Yep.
Brandishing a whole class as the trickiest class I've ever had in my life, although it could genuinely be true, like how useful is that really when you're handing over a class? Like, does it have a place? I personally, by the end of my career, thought I would try to avoid that, but I still obviously sometimes thought that. So, like, what?
I think by itself, if that's the only thing you're passing over, which is unlikely to happen, but if the only thing you were passing over to someone was, oh, good luck, they're the most tricky class I've ever had, off you go.
Yeah. I think that's obviously a bad thing.
I don't think it helps. I don't think it's helpful. I think it's only helpful if that comes with a really detailed report as to, okay, well, what made it tricky then? What useful information previous teacher that's had them for the last year can you give me to help me hit the ground running?
Right.
I don't. The problem is, this is where I always struggle. When people have told me that they're giving me the most tricky class, there have been multiple occasions where I have just found that not to be that true.
Well, that's true, because the way you interact with the children is different to their, and therefore they act. That's what I mean. So what I'm saying is, you're saying, well, it's okay as long as there's lots of detailed, intricate, like actual things that have happened from the year that you passed on to me. My point is, okay, let's say all that exists. What's the benefit of then putting the cherry on the top and saying the most difficult class I've ever had? You're saying it's okay as long as that. Well, I'm just saying, well, let's just do that then.
Yeah.
What does saying as well, this is the most tricky class I've ever had, what's that giving that the detail isn't already?
It's true. I think the better situation is not saying that with it.
Yeah.
Here's my 3 tiers, right? So the worst one is just saying they're the most tricky class and doing nothing.
Obviously.
The middle one is you're saying the most tricky class, but at least you're then giving them the information. And the best one is just give them the factual information about the class and let them make up their own mind, rather than adding on to it. By the way, I'm just going to try and scare you now by saying this is the worst class I've ever had. So I'm just setting you up to have a terrible year. Enjoy your summer holidays of 6 weeks of thinking about how horrible this class is.
Yeah, exactly. When the reality is, the way you run your classroom, or just the way you create bonds with the children, or certain children better than maybe they did, they will have their strength somewhere else, which made that class trickier for them.
Exactly.
You might not find that is the trickiest class for you personally. That's
right. And I don't know about you, it'd be good to get your opinion actually. I have a very strong mindset of sort of a fresh slate to an extent with a class.
No, not even to an extent. Really.
So let me just explain that before people misinterpret it. I very much give children like a fresh slate of the year, but I do find it useful to at least have the context of how they got on last year. Like I do still find that useful. If someone said this child is best friends with this other child and they consistently have messed about this year when they're sat near each other in the class, that's still useful to me, because you know what, day one I'm just not going to take that risk straight away. I'm just going to sit them apart and then just start the relationship building from there. But there's still a fresh slate in terms of each individual relationship I'm going to build up with these children. I'm not going to go in thinking, I've been told you're the naughty kid, so I'm going to start treating you differently immediately. Yeah. Even though in a way, like you could argue, well, I have treated them differently because I've put them in different parts of the classroom. There's like a logistics thing to me that's sort of different to my actual like real relationship with the kids.
Well, like, if you've got, often they're described as, I've got a runner in my class. Like, that's good information to know.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily discriminatory against them. For you to understand that and have something in place to maybe counteract that from day one. It's about keeping the child safe. It's about keeping the other children safe. There's lots of information you need to know about children to put things in place before they come into your classroom. So like to have a blanket like, oh, I don't need to know anything. I don't think anyone's suggesting that or thinks that's a good idea.
No.
I think you need really detailed notes on what the children are like, facts about them, things that have literally happened. My point is just when you're attaching an opinion to it, I don't think it's that helpful, because I think it's very common to say, like, imagine the other way around where someone was saying something on the lines of, they're a breeze, they're lovely, they're absolutely fantastic, they had no problem for me. You're a week in and you're really struggling, right?
Yeah.
It's very common, I think, online and social media and like accepted amongst staff that it's not very helpful to say how great they were for you when someone else is struggling with them. I do think it works both ways. Like, I also just don't think it's very helpful to say, oh, they're the worst, oh, they're awful, oh my gosh, I really struggle with them, they're terrible, and then you have a breeze with them.
Yeah.
Again, that's setting you up to look like you're being holier than thou, because your only reaction then after would be, oh, they're all right.
Yeah,
and then
which is truthful.
Yeah, but then suddenly you're looked at like, oh, of course they're all right for him. Oh, he's great. It's lovely for him. It's like, come on, like, it could just be the fact that you're finding it easier to handle that class.
Yeah.
I had something which is like linked to this question that I saw a lot of online, because I did a post about how we were speaking about how the most I said the word competent teachers, but I took very specifically in terms of behavior management.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone works in a school where you just know there are certain teachers who have a reputation of they can handle those trickier classes, right? And we said about how those teachers tend to get the trickier classes, and it seemed like a widespread thing, right?
Yeah.
There were some people saying, actually, I noticed that the trickiest classes are often given to ECTs. And I was like, do you know what? I can think of a few examples of that as well. Yeah. But in general, we were talking about, you know, the trickiest classes going to those teachers like year in, year out. And it's like they're going to be burnt out eventually. And it was really interesting. One or two comments popped up a couple of times were saying how there's no such thing as a tricky class.
Right.
Why is there a tricky class? I want to go to the reasons. I don't think tricky classes exist. I think it's about the environment of the school.
That's interesting.
What's your gut reaction to that? Because I certainly had a very visceral one.
My gut reaction is just they're wrong. Like, of course, there's tricky classes. Like, we can have a separate conversation about like why a class gets labeled with a word like tricky.
Yeah.
And have a really meaningful conversation about, okay, should we be using those labels? Should we be looking for deeper reasons? Like, I think that's fine. Like, you can have that conversation, but I don't think it's like one or the other. I don't think then you can say, so therefore we've come to the conclusion that every class is exactly the same. And the overall makeup, the average behavior in the classroom is actually identical. It's just that we were interpreting it wrong. Like some weird, like airy-fairy stuff. Like, no. This class, it's potluck. It just happens to have a few children more than the other class that are really disruptive in their behavior. They're very hard to manage. Perhaps their family and their parents are not supportive, and they're equally quite hard to manage as the school-parent relationship. And it just makes the makeup of that classroom quite tricky, and therefore we say that's a tricky class. Okay, cool. That is true, though, isn't it? Like, I can also think of teachers, by the way, and you know, use the words competence. I do think it's a real skill, and I think we should put those teachers on a pedestal. I do think there's lots of skills within teaching. And everyone obviously has different strengths in different areas, and some people are just freaking amazing all over the place in the skills of teaching. And one of those skills, genuinely is the behavior management of the classroom.
Yeah, of course.
I can think of, and I know you can as well. I can think of a handful of teachers in my career,
me,
who are ridiculously good.
Yeah.
When it comes to like turning around the behavior of a class as well. Like, a class will go through them and come out the other side, and you think, crikey, like they were very much the tricky class at the start.
Yeah.
And a lot of those behaviors that we'd attribute with them being tricky have genuinely been like squashed and turned around, and they come out to the next year a totally different class. And I know that if they went through me or a different teacher, that end goal would not be the same. They would potentially still be labeled as a tricky class.
Do you know what that class might be better at, though? Is the things that you have your strengths in.
Of course.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I think it's not about putting anyone down. I want to be really clear. You could be putting yourself down here. That class might have better outcomes with their learning. Genuinely.
Sure, but that's fine.
Right. No, that's what I mean. And I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, for someone to pretend that can't happen, I'm like, well, yeah, obviously it can, and it does. And it's not through being like horrible and strict. It's through actually just having the skill set to really find out what makes those children tick. And I'm probably thinking the same teachers, right, who adore their teacher. that like alongside that.
The same teachers who adore their teacher.
No, sorry, the same teachers. No, sorry, the same teachers who their class also adore them.
Right? Yeah.
It's like you've managed to turn this around. It's not like draconian, horrible environment to be in.
Yeah.
They also love that class teacher.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable skill, right?
Yeah, they're like top tier in terms of skill set. I've always admired those teachers because I've genuinely found it very hard. I do think most of us in teaching will have our strengths. You think of like the classic spider web diagram, right? Most people are not maxing out that spider diagram and have mastered all 10 skills of teaching or whatever it is. Yeah. Most people, got a few strengths, but there are just some teachers who have nailed the behavior management and managed to build the most unreal relationships with their class.
I think they're linked.
Perhaps, but sometimes they're not though. Sometimes I feel like you get teachers who are like looked at as like, oh yeah, they're the really strict teachers, and actually the kids go through and they don't really enjoy their year with them. Like that does happen sometimes. Yeah, it's the ones that can do all of it. I'm just like, I don't know how you do this. I'm 10 years in and I'm like, I don't understand how you can be so good at all of these different things and maintain this relationship. All the parents seem to love you as well in this class. Like the kids,
Stop
love you.
Describing me.
The learning's incredible.
Daddy.
The behavior management's amazing.
Stop it, Daddy.
Yeah. Daddy. Sorry, I only refer to my McDonald's daddy as that.
My McDaddy.
Yeah, my McDaddy. I reckon McDaddy's a great teacher.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I'm waffling on.
What was the question?
I don't know.
Advice for a difficult class. Blank slate. Know the facts behind each child.
Yeah.
Understand what you can from the teacher. Try to ignore that label of trickiest class ever, because I think that is a subjective label sometimes.
Yeah.
But obviously, like we've also discussed, if you have 3 classes that you could have next year, there is going to be a class that's the most tricky for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it could be that class.
Yep.
Next year, it might not be. It's going to happen throughout your career. So it's your 4th year. Maybe it's that time for that tricky class now. But do you know how you improve your behavior management? Sorry. But this is what people are saying. Like, if you constantly give the trickiest classes with the most behavior issues to the same people who are good at it, even though people can say, well, it's what's best for the kids. Well, I'm sorry, but that teacher might have actually been the best teacher for all those classes.
Yeah.
So you're just going with that one, but actually what's best for the other 2/3 of the year group might have also been that teacher. So it's not as simple as saying that. How are you going to, in the long term, improve your staff is to rotate it and support them.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the only way, right?
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly the point I was going to make.
Wow. Daddy got you there first. Daddy.
Relish the opportunity. Because it might be painful at the time, but you will learn a lot. I certainly did when I had those couple of classes in my career. I can think back to where I thought I was out of my depth when it came to. I got lucky for a lot of my career where it was like the behavior management was genuinely really easy, and I was like, oh, look at me, this is easy. I'm a good teacher. Yeah. And then you actually get a class where there's like lots of behavioral needs, and you're like, oh crikey, I'm not very good at this.
Yeah.
But you learn to. You have to get good at it because it's your job. So
exactly that.
Yeah, I agree. This episode is brought to you by Mathszoo.
Here's the daily reality for most primary school teachers. You want your class doing focused arithmetic practice every single day. But finding the exact arithmetic questions at the right year group level, at the exact right small step, eats into time you simply don't have.
You end up cobbling sheets together, photocopying old ones, or rewriting questions on the board. So we built something to fix that, and it's completely free for school staff to use.
It's the Mathszoo worksheet generator, where we have mapped out every single small step for arithmetic from year 1 all the way up to year 6. Click into any topic, drill down into a specific small step, and generate as many questions as you want. And no, it's not AI.
And because it's so granular, you can plug exact gaps, exchanging across different digits, adding fractions with different denominators, or denominators that are the same. It's all there.
Choose however many questions you'd like, print the worksheet off for your class to complete, or simply snip it onto your whiteboard for daily arithmetic practice.
The whole thing takes seconds, and like I said, completely free for school staff. Just click the link in the description below and get using it with your class tomorrow. Right, shall I do the next question?
Yes, please, Daddy.
This one's from McDaddy, actually. My school is amazing, but nobody gets a TLR. I'm just going to preface this, right? Dylan probably will get riled up, so just prepare yourself a little bit. My school is amazing, but nobody gets a TLR unless you lead maths or English. We're all made to joint lead a subject when we join the school, so we don't have a choice. For instance, in my ECT 2 year, I was made a joint geography lead with a teacher who's been there for 6 years, but no TLR for either of us. Is this normal?
I'm not that riled up because it's so normal.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why.
I thought you'd be riled up at the normality of it.
No. I'm Hayden. We've been doing this for 3 years now. Okay, I've got to keep my blood pressure low somehow.
You've had the tricky episodes, and you've got better at managing them.
Exactly.
So that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Do you know what? The question is this normal? It's incredibly normal. Every single aspect of what you've just described is very, very, very normal.
Yeah.
Like if you think about TLRs in primary school, I find it insane when people pop up and are like, well, it doesn't happen. Okay, it should. Like, look at every single document that's out there about what a TLO is and what you're expected to do. Like, well, actually, if we just call it subject coordinator, we get around it because it's technically not called subject lead.
Because the buck doesn't lie with them.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. The buck doesn't lie with me if Ofsted. Okay, cool. Have I still got to do everything? Yeah. Oh, but I feel really great on a Sunday when I'm planning the PDM for next week, unpaid, because the buck doesn't lie with me. That makes it all worthwhile.
when Ofsted come in and rip it to shreds, I will still internally get that.
But the buck doesn't lie with me.
Until Ofsted are gone and they tell me off anyway, because I was actually the lead.
Exactly that, yeah. When they do the post-Ofsted post-mortem. It's like, okay, whose fault was this? Who coordinated geography for the last 3 years? The buck doesn't stop with you, however. It was like okay, but the buck doesn't stop with me, so that pays my mortgage. Actually, the lack of buck manages to pay my mortgage off.
The irony.
So there's that. I think it's just an absolute nonsense. It's very normal that especially when you join, especially smaller schools. This sounds like it's a co-lead, so that what they've done is there are more teachers than subjects are to lead. So they've gone, how can I still make this fair? Make them co-lead.
make them all do it.
At least they're sharing out the load a bit. Do you know what I mean?
It does make sense. To be fair.
But I do think what you've described is incredibly normal. I personally, at this point, because I am this far in and I taught for however long, if I was in a school that did that, I would simply not do the extra work. No, I'm not joking. I would simply walk in and just be like, oh, okay, I will do as much as you want me to do for this. I will work all week on this if you book me time out to do it.
Okay.
Because I am hired as a classroom teacher. I'm given no TLR for this extra responsibility. I'm on the main pay scale, so you can't even come at me with the UPS thing, right? This person's on the main pay scale. That's what I'm saying.
If you're in that situation.
But even in the UPS thing, I'd be arguing against it. However, if you're on the main pay scale and you're just a classroom teacher, I would refuse to do anything extra that I hadn't been given time out to do it for, because there is one of two things you need when you get more responsibility in your job, and when more responsibility means more actual work, right? So it's either got to replace what you are doing full time. So if you want me to lead a subject, cool, replace some of my time because my time is full. Or you pay me more money to atone for the extra overtime that I'll be putting into it. And that, though, because it's overtime and it's extra, would still be a choice. You can still say, no, actually, do you know what? I don't want the extra money because I don't want to do the extra work. Within my contract, you want to move things around that I'm doing this other thing, which is clearly important to lead a subject. Move things around and I'll do it happily. I always said to people, because I'd moan about displays, right? I'm not doing a display, for sake. I'm not a artist. Off. I'm a primary school teacher. Sorry.
That's 5, guys.
Yeah, it winds me up so much. But do you know what? Some people like doing it. It's cool. It's nothing to do with me that you like it, is it? I'm going to carry on teaching maths because that's what I love doing. Anyway, I talked about that. But I said to people, I would put displays up all day if it was during my work time. And my boss said to me, right, you're out today. I need this whole corridor. I need the displays part, please. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't enjoy it.
No.
But I would do it.
And I wouldn't even do a good job of it.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I'd do my best though.
Do your best?
I would. Yeah. No, but seriously, I would try my hardest and I'd do it because at the end of the day, I'm not against taking order. Like, I'm an employee being asked to do a job.
For money.
So of course I would put them up.
Yeah.
It's when it's like just implicitly said, oh, can you just do that please on top of everything else? Not only is it not part of my job, I'm not paid to do it. So for me personally, long way around here, it's completely normal. I think it's just a load of bollocks, personally. Like what? You'd say it's normal though. Do you think it's more acceptable? Like
no, I agree. I think the only thing I think people ever push back on is this idea of, like, imagine this exact situation, the co-lead thing. You said, if that was me and I wasn't getting the time out to do it and I wasn't getting paid, I would just not do it. What often happens is the co-lead doesn't share the exact same opinion and ends up doing all of it because they're one, worried about themselves, their own job reputation, and two, probably because they're also thinking they'll cover you and save your back a little bit. And it ends up in the situation where the co-lead does all of it. They're not willing to stand up for themselves. You might then just say, well, that's your problem. But ultimately, they've ended up doing loads of work because of your position. Whereas if they were with someone else, they would have done half the work because the other co-lead maybe shared the same opinion of like nonchalance and not really too worried about it and just did it. So I always find that dynamic just a bit awkward because ultimately it does just sting the other person if they don't have the exact same stance as you.
Okay. It is a them problem. It's a them problem. I'm sorry. I can't be held to ransom because you don't want to stick up for your own working rights. Like if we're in this situation where we're both said, you're both co-lead of geography, over the weekend, can you please plan a CPD for Monday? Right? I would say no. If the co-lead says, oh yeah, I'll do it, I would say to the co-lead, no, stop, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because of all the things I just explained just then, and how let's just do this together, please.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. You shouldn't do it. That's equal.
Oh.
That's 0-0. This is fair. I'm saying 0 for me, 0 for you. That's fair, right? So what are you going to do that makes it not fair? Because that's a you thing.
Well, the problem is, Dylan, what you're not understanding is the stress that I would experience by not doing it is so much worse than just doing it.
Fair, just do it then.
For me.
Fair enough.
But now I've got to do double, and that's that. So basically, it's a lose-lose situation for me now.
Yeah, but the stress that I get from doing it is high for me. Okay, so it's about time we just look after ourselves, isn't it? Yeah. And if you look at this situation of I'm not accepting free work, if you want to attribute your stress to me making that decision before you attribute it to your employer asking you to do free work, that's your problem, because this stress is stemming from that person asking you to do it for free and not me. HR. Completely.
You're fired. Bam.
Get in there. Don't want to work here anyway.
HR, fired. Get a new co-lead in. They'll actually do the bloody work.
I think the amount of people who give a free pass to the person who caused the problem is insane.
Yeah. In
that situation, if you sat there and went, oh, you're not doing that free work for free, are you not annoyed at the person making you do the free work for free?
Maybe, yeah.
What do you mean maybe?
I think I'm just a bit more human.
What do you mean maybe?
I think there's just more... There's a more human aspect to it. You're very objective.
What would you do? The human aspect is be the same human emotional bundle of crying you are to that person, not to me.
Perhaps that is the best thing. But they might. But my point is, they just don't do the thing that you're thinking. People just aren't as rational as you're being in this situation here.
Why is that my problem?
I don't know. Look. I think maybe there's perhaps a middle ground for you have this conversation.
Doing some work for free.
No. You realize they're going to do it, and you think, okay, right. There needs to be more of a systemic change here in the school. I get it. Otherwise, it's just going to be me backing out, and this person is going to get front loaded of the work because they're not confident enough. There's 5 other reasons why they don't want to do that. They don't want to make that decision. They're scared, whatever. But I'm not.
Yeah.
At least with that, has at least got to come for like fighting for change for the whole school. Like not just you being like, my hands are washed of it.
I'd be fighting that tooth and nail with the person who's asking me to do the work.
Yeah.
And not laying any blame to you.
Cool. So would you go to seeing me, this person in this situation, would you then go
I've said this before to leaders. I've done this before in real life. Like people just think this is all hypothetical. I've gone to leaders before and said, look, I'm not doing this thing because it's not reasonable, in my opinion, that you're asking us to do this in this short amount of time. And I think we all agree that's fair. But I work with 2 other people who will spend their weekend doing this. And then on the surface, from your point of view, it'll look like what you're asking is completely acceptable because it gets done. But it's not fair on them because I'm refusing to do it, which I think is fair, and I'll tell you I'm refusing to do it, which means these people not only are doing it when they shouldn't even be doing it in the first place, even if it's a third, but they're now doing half of each because I'm not doing it. So it will look on the surface as a leader to you as if it's okay to keep asking for this to be done because at the end of the day, it gets done. But if you truly care about your staff, you will put something in place to stop this. I can't feel the burden and the shame for the fact that these people are overworked because I've decided to say no to you asking this. This is too much. So if you're going to carry on and not change anything and just ride off the free work of these people who you know you can get that from, that's on you and it's not on me. What part of all of that means it's my fault?
No, I'm just so. Would you do anything different based on their reaction to that?
If their reaction was, yeah, well, sorry, do you know what? It needs to get done now and they're going to do it. I'd be like, cool, I'll go and tell them you said that.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing there is you're saying it's okay to exploit their free labor because I get the job that I want done at the end. I'm going to go and tell them that. If they're okay with that and you're okay with that, sounds like I'm not involved.
Fair.
And you know what? Some people will listen to that and be like, oh, what a selfish prick.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to it and go, cool, I got to spend the weekend with my family. You think I'm a selfish prick? I got to spend the weekend with my family.
And your colleagues didn't?
Yeah.
Even more so. Well done.
Because they chose not to.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
It's not a tough one.
It's a tough. No,
I think it's quite straightforward.
It's a tough one for people to get their heads around because at the end of the day, you have to accept the reality that most people aren't doing what you're doing. So it's clearly tough for the majority of people. You have to be in the minority of people who can stand up for themselves to this degree, and not be stressed about it. Most people, it would stress.
I agree with all that.
They're not stupid. They probably weighed up in their head of like, oh, I obviously don't want to do this thing.
Yeah.
But the stress of saying no to it is actually worse than me just doing the work.
And
and now I've got to do even more because my colleague for some reason is not stressed by this.
Has that tipped over the stress to it being more or less that you did the work?
Don't know.
Okay, well, if it's tipped it over, do something about it. If it hasn't, crack on. It's the best choice for you. It's either tipped you over that.
Yeah.
So you're at the point now where you're like, do you know what?
It's still a worse choice.
No. There's 2 choices for these people you're describing, right? Okay, there's a level where the stress gets to where it's worth me actually just going to the head and saying something, right? You're saying it's below that. So actually, it's more stressful for me to go to the head and talk about this. Do you know what? I'll just get the work done. Me putting more work onto them, right?
Yeah.
Either keeps it below that level, and it's still the right choice for them just to crack on and do it.
Yeah. But worse.
Or still the right choice. Or goes past that level, and then they go and talk to the head. What I would be saying, begging them to do is, please go and talk to the head. We'll go together as a 3 and
I'm
say
already
we can't
not doing
do
it. Yeah.
That's what I'd be saying.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, my point is to save everyone time.
Yeah. I think that's it. As long as we are fighting, as long as that person, you in this situation, other people doing that, are actively then fighting the corner for the people who are less confident.
Have I or have I not, Hayden, for everyone listening right now, lived my life in that job for the last 2, 3, 4 years and the entire time we've done this podcast of having other people at the forefront of my mind constantly about what I talk about? In terms of, I want things to change for everyone, please. And I've put myself head above the parapet in meetings. I've said stuff that is for everyone, isn't even really affecting me that much because I'm already not doing it. And I've said, it's not really acceptable to really ask everyone to do that, is it? Because you're going to increase it. And that's not fair on everyone. Did I have to do that? No. I could have carried on just living the life of Riley and not watch everyone else struggle. At the core of my being, it's about making it better for everyone. And if someone isn't willing to do that for a reason which might be completely acceptable, like you just said, that's not my problem.
I think you should start a union. The daddy union.
Daddy union?
Anyway, good question. Right, next one. How to deal with staff from negativity. It's so draining, like listening to this podcast. Some teachers clearly just don't want to work. Wow, I think we've met one of them. Ooh. Everything is a chore to them.
Is this real?
This is real. I'm not even joking. I didn't even realize it was next, which is hilarious. I'm going to read it again because I'm slowing down. Right.
Come.
How to deal with staff from negativity. It's so draining. Some teachers clearly just don't want to work.
Yeah.
Everything is a chore to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there legitimacy in this? Like some teachers just don't want to do anything.
I'm sure some teachers don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's true. Do you think do you think everything I just explained, by the way, do you think that's negative?
No, I don't think, jokes aside, I don't think what you said is the same category as this.
No, that's fine. But what I mean, a lot of people listen to what I just say and say, oh, so bloody negative. Just do it. Like, I think people have this warped sense of what negativity means. Like, as soon as you talk about something potentially being better, they're like, oh, you're so negative how it currently is. Like, what does it even mean? To me, it's like when people say they're offended. I'm like, oh, and? Like, oh, I'm so offended by that. Oh, it's so negative. It's like, how about you just grow up and talk about the situation rather than just saying, instead of just saying negative, like, okay, cool. That's nice. That's a lovely thing to hear. Can we move on to the part now where you discuss the things I said and why they're good or bad? Like, get to the crux of it.
I do find in schools, though, and this is just from my personal experience, I do think a lot of people do fit this bill, though. Not just anyone working in school, by the way, not necessarily just teachers. Where it's like, I've convinced myself it got to the point where there are some people where you could, honest to God, change absolutely anything in the school, and they would moan about it.
Yeah.
Like, and it wouldn't even be a consideration of, oh, do you know what, actually? Yeah, I will have to think differently about this, but I can see why ultimately this in a year is going to be a really good change. It is just, another thing to change. Do you agree? And if you do, why do you think that is so widespread? Because I think it is quite normal that teachers are moany.
Look, I think it's widespread because of the fatigue of change that's come for the entirety of people's careers when teaching, right?
Yeah.
You've got to remember, and again, people who work in teaching probably understand this way more than people who don't. The level and consistency of change throughout your teaching career is insane.
Yeah.
When people looking into teaching often go, what? Didn't you teach year 4 last year? Yeah. Why don't you do the same thing again? No, because we've got this scheme of work coming in, or this initiatives have come in, or this English leader said we have to do writing this way now, and also our starters are different for maths. And by the way, we've got a completely new scheme when it comes to geography, and we need to make sure that links in with what we've got for history, etc. There's always something changing, right?
Yeah.
So the issue is, when those changes happen, I'm just going to look back on my career now and think about all the changes that have happened, right? I think it's fair to say that 75% of the changes were genuinely unnecessary. And the amount it moved the needle was either 0 or negative, positive 1, 2, 3%.
Yeah.
Not much, right? Even if it moved it a bit down or a bit up, it moved the needle slightly, not really enough to warrant the impact it had on workload and change, right? So when you're constantly facing change for change's sake in education, when the 1 in 4 does come along, or the 20% or 25% of change comes along where actually, do you know what? This is a good change. I think it's completely understandable why a bunch of people who've lived through the career are going, oh, for goodness sake, again.
Yeah.
So I think that core base like reaction to change, there's a reason people have that usually. It's not just for the sake of not doing work. It's for the sake of, I want to do work that moves the needle, right? Because I'm thinking about when we've had changes before. There've been a few changes that we've had where I've gone, do you know what? That's more work for me. But I actually objectively see, and it's been explained really well, and it's rooted in research as to why this is better for the kids.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's worth the time.
It's worth the time because we're going to be working anyway. We're going to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And a lot of changes top-loaded time. You got to remember as well. And it does make a difference depending on like how long you plan on staying at school. But quite often, if your plan is to stay in the school for the next 5 years, there are some changes. In fact, most changes realistically are top-loaded. Like the change has the biggest immediate impact to your workload straight away.
Sure.
And then over time it diminishes. Like imagine it is a scheme of work. It's the most classic change ever. Quite often with schemes of work, if the idea is to use this new scheme of work for the next 5 years, year 1 is the most work. And then year 2, the idea is year 2 is
tweaking.
It's tweaking year 3. And then maybe you get to the point where year 4 and 5, actually, it's fantastic for you now because you've done everything in the past. And
time
you
for a new
barely need
scheme.
to do anything. Yeah, I know. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly that. Yeah, I think you were quite nice with 75%. I look at my career and I just reflect on like other teachers as well that I've obviously spoken to a lot of teachers in my career.
Now, yeah.
And I think there's a very consistent theme where most of them would say, over my whole career, whether that's 10 years or 20 years or whatever, we've made 1,000 changes and the outcomes for children from a holistic point of view, everything factored in, honestly, on average, is absolutely exactly the same as it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of them would say. And I'm not saying that education is completely stagnated.
No.
I think there are positive changes and little things over time, but I think it's so insignificant compared to the number of changes that do nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's higher than 75%. I honestly think it's like 90%.
Yeah.
I say 90% of the stuff, the time I spent changing things in my career had absolutely no impact overall to outcomes of children, whether it is from a holistic sense or from just an academic pure numbers game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that's such a crazy amount of time. And I definitely got to the point where in my career, I would say I was much more up for changing stuff when I started teaching. Way more enthused by the idea of, maybe naive to the idea that everything we do is a positive change. It's in that step up, step up, step up. By the end of my career, I was absolutely one of those teachers where my gut reaction, even if I didn't surface it, was to think that any change we were doing was just rubbish. Because so many changes were rubbish that I couldn't even be bothered to entertain the idea that this one might actually be good.
Yeah, which it might well have been.
And and there were, I can point to changes in my head right now where I'm like, that was much better than what we did before.
Yeah.
And even still at the time, I remember being moany and annoyed that I've got my, my workload's upping or whatever, which I think is legitimate on a separate thing. Yeah. I think you can be annoyed that your workload is being increased and simultaneously being like, I can see the benefits to the children.
I just want to go back to the framing of this question. Some teachers clearly just don't want to work, right? Let's just think about the hours of work teachers do, right? Because so often teacher work is judged on the extra. Right? Yeah. Oh, you don't want to do any extra. You don't want to do any work. It's like, sorry. Are we ignoring that 90% of my week, which is working in the school?
The work I did.
Right. So like when you're working from, 7:45 until 3:30 every day, right? That's work still. Yeah. So when you're saying some teachers clearly just don't want to work, I'm assuming you're ignoring the bulk of the work they're already doing, which they obviously do. Yeah. So when people say, oh, they don't want to do any work, what they often mean is they don't want to do any extra work in the evenings or at the weekend. Which, by the way, also, they're doing some marking. They're already doing extra. What we're really, when you break it down so often, what this question means is people get annoyed that people don't want to spend hours at the weekend replanning stuff. Or, there's this really cool thing. I'm the leader of English and there's some really cool research around writing and the way we do writing doesn't quite work. And I'm really infused by it because I'm the leader of English and I want everyone else to be infused by it. Well, no, clearly you don't want to do any bloody work. I've just explained why it's so good. I've put hours into making this CPD. Why aren't they so infused to go away and change it? Because, Karen, they can't be f***ing asked. And they've already done lots of work and it's okay that someone is like reluctant to change when it means, oh, I guess I'll cancel my Sunday breakfast with my family because I need to do this now for next week that you're telling me to do. It's okay. Like, it doesn't automatically mean they're just against work. It means they need to weigh up their own personal time, the fact they're already doing lots of work, and whether it's going to be impactful on the kids or not.
And that was me in my first year as an athlete.
Completely. I remember.
That's me. I remember thinking that about other staff. Like, I'm not even going to pretend I didn't.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, oh, for God's sake, are these... And funnily enough, it was all of the older members of staff who had been doing it a long time who I was like, oh, classic, they're going to don't want to do it, do they? They're going to want to change it. Because in my head, I'm still in that mindset of, it's the newest thing, so it is better, it's a step up. And they're probably thinking, oh, I did this 15 years ago, and I changed it after 3 years, like we changed every other single thing we've ever implemented after 3 years. For nothing. Yeah. So no, forgive me if I don't really want to do that for the reasons you just said.
And tricky one. To brandish them as not wanting to work. Are there some teachers who also just don't want to work in general?
Of course. The teachers aren't perfect.
Yes, but I don't think we're talking about those. I think we're talking about in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on then.
All right, another one. Short one here. Is the annual staff survey really anonymous?
It depends where you are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what? It really made me laugh. Someone commented the other day, I did a post about anonymous surveys not being anonymous. And someone commented going, I found out it wasn't anonymous when the head asked me why I hadn't completed it yet.
That's hilarious.
So why have you not done it yet?
How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know that? That is brilliant.
Oh, so good.
What a way to get caught out, because there's no way they thought of that.
And the other one was saying how we have an anonymous survey, but it asks you to fill in which year group you're in and to complete it by hand. It's like just match up.
That's
exactly.
mental.
There's only 2 teachers in year 3.
Yeah.
And I can easily tell which one's which.
Mine were never anonymous, just by default, based on what I wrote. It was like, I can imagine head teacher would read them and be like,
this is Hayden.
Well, that was obviously Hayden. Yeah. And that one's obviously Dylan. So there we go.
I think they can be anonymous. It depends what school you're in. To be fair, like do you know what? I think our most recent school did it well, where no member of SLT ran the form.
Yep.
So it was one of our amazing HLTAs basically ran the form for the school.
She took on like a wellbeing lead.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
The school, didn't she?
Yeah, like in charge of that kind of stuff, and she ran the survey. So we actually. We were less bothered about it being anonymous or not, in terms of we knew it wasn't going straight to SLT.
Yeah.
Because then she collated everything.
Yep.
And what she did as the middle person was take strands out of what was said repeatedly.
Yep.
And almost like did a report to SLT to say, look, right, 80% of staff think this is a problem. This was raised, that was raised. Like if something was raised like specifically by one person, but it was important. Now the pros and cons of that are, when you add a middleman, stuff inevitably might get lost in translation. They might want to water it down slightly to not be as confrontational. They may also miss some bits or not quite get the nuance of filling out a form. I always think face-to-face interaction is the best thing, but like you said earlier, people get a bit worried about that. And if you work in a school where you know your job's on the line, you're, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's just the point of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anonymous surveys are so popular because, and I'll say this again, the majority of people don't want to put their head above the parapet like you do very confidently and easily. Yeah. Most people are extremely uncomfortable doing that, and they don't want to.
Completely.
So an anonymous
and they
survey
still deserve to be heard just as much as the bullshit person.
And some people, even when presented with an anonymous survey, still won't even say their gripes because of through fear of like it's somehow coming back to them. Yeah. And I want to read that. I'm going to skip in right down here to the bottom of my list. There's another question that's just come to mind, which I think is like loosely linked. Hopefully you'll see the link, right? This is what someone said.
What's my order, McDaddy? Is that what it is?
Funny enough, that's exactly what it says. No, it says this. Ofsted have been and gone this week. However, I feel that some of my colleagues were quite positive about SLT and management, despite moaning about them constantly. You can see why I thought the link, right? Only one member of staff was honest with inspectors in a group conversation and is now being bad-mouthed. SLT were also swarming throughout the 2 days, but have now retreated to their offices. Overall, we got expected in every category, but I feel like this was just not at all genuine, as the 2 days were not typical. And I feel that SLT managed to pull the wool over the inspector's eyes. Thoughts, please. So,
I think that is rife.
Listen, which
Listen,
part of it? Because there's a lot to that.
I think all of it, genuinely. Yeah. And I think here's the thing: we talk a lot about Ofsted, don't we?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about how it's the system, the way it's done is not particularly fair. Sometimes you might get an inspector who's not even had any experience in that setting before. You know, we've had inspectors before who were secondary only and then came to judge a primary school. Like, I know they get training and stuff, but you get inconsistencies about how things are viewed or whether they're a problem or not.
Yep.
I'm not talking about safeguarding. I'm talking about, I always come back to this idea of we got picked up on chronology and history. I always come back to that because I think a different inspector would have looked at it and been like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But our inspector looked at that and went, all chronology's off, because they asked 1 year for each child which order the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age were in, and they weren't sure.
And they couldn't do
so
it.
Immediately in our report it said not so strong on chronology. Insane.
Yeah.
Right. To me, completely insane. Like to ask you, I could ask year for each child that and have the best lesson in the world.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, does the Tudors come next? It doesn't mean the chronology of the school's off.
Yeah.
It means that child didn't quite remember it. Anyway. All of that's true. The inconsistencies of Ofsted and how on schools' side of schools feel like they've just got to go into survival mode and get through it. Right. However, there are some schools that are really good schools, really supportive, fantastic leadership, who will go into survival mode and it not really, those 2 days not actually properly represent what that school is like day to day. That's just a fact. And I think that's acceptable, and I think that's fine, and that's the nature of it. Right.
Yeah.
So that in itself, I wouldn't look at that story and be like, oh, They're pretending. Yeah, of course they are. It's the nature
performance
of it.
mode. Right?
Everyone's on performance mode. You're going to do your best.
In the same way you are when you have an observation in your lesson. Obviously, you're on performance mode.
Precisely. It's
just be yourself. No one is though, are they?
Exactly.
Everyone's going to go above and beyond a little bit.
Right. So that in its own, I want to make the point that doesn't really strike me as like horrendous.
Yeah.
What we do see a lot of though, and I've again experienced this in schools, and I've been in schools that are similar, and I've heard lots of stories where that same ability to kind of mask and put on that show in that good school was something they needed to do to get through the Ofsted, because they know they can't guarantee what Ofsted inspector they're getting.
No.
They need to do that. There are other schools who know how to play the game of Ofsted and want to get the right boxes and want to get the right thing, because then afterwards they can relax and go back to their draconian horrible ways. That is bad. So the actual act of acting up, I'm like, I understand why people do it.
Yeah.
But when it's acting up in a school where it's ruled with an iron fist, staff are treated rubbish, the SLT don't really care, but they're putting on this show, that's when it becomes frustrating.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think my thoughts on that are quite a few schools are like that. And the shame is that now they can go around and get a big massive sign saying expected across all categories, and just carry on thinking, well, the way we're doing stuff's fine. We're going to continue to treat staff like rubbish. They spoke really highly of us because they wanted to be loyal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the moment,
let's focus on that, because I reckon that's what this person's really asking about. What do you think to those colleagues? And I felt that some of my colleagues were quite positive about SLT and management despite moaning about them constantly.
Look,
what do you say to that?
There is, again, levels to this, right? So to me, being completely honest, in my most recent school, we had Ofsted. I said not one bad word about anyone in our school. No leadership. I said nothing bad. It was bigging everything up all of the time. In actual reality, were there some things that I didn't think were the best way in the world of doing stuff in that school? Of course there were, because I'm a normal human being. However, it was nothing malicious. It was certainly nothing worth bringing up to Ofsted, because it was like an internal matter where maybe that'd be better. Oh, it's not quite great. I didn't think anything was done nastily from our leadership at all. I thought they were really good leaders. But in a constructive professional dialogue, I would say to myself, guys, I think this is wrong.
Yeah, it was a professional disagreement.
It's a professional disagreement. It's absolutely not worth flagging with Ofsted for. Yeah. So again, in that respect, not bringing up petty things to Ofsted is the right thing to do. It's not why you're there. But in that situation, depending on how toxic the leadership are, that is your chance to talk.
that's it, isn't it? It's toxicity to me.
Yeah.
Because toxicity is an innately like an actual problem.
Yeah.
You're never going to get a school where everyone agrees on every policy. That's just not how it works. And if they did, it'd be very strange. Because like, where's the professional dialogue? Where's the debating, the going back and forth? That's how you get to the best. So you think about us in our work life in general, everything we've ever done. We spend 80% of our time arguing and debating stuff, and 20% of our time agreeing, but we get to the best conclusions because we're really thinking things through and trying to get both our full perspectives. You have to have that in a school as well.
But if you had someone come in and say to us, let's talk about our tutoring service.
Yeah.
What's Hayden like to work with? Do you think I'd be saying to that person, nightmare? Obviously I wouldn't be saying it even if I thought that, because it's constructive. So definitely. Like, that's what I'm saying. Again, in the same way beforehand, I didn't want to say putting on a show for Ofsted is bad, because it's not.
No.
That's what you've got to do. I don't want to say defending your SLT is bad, because it's not. But it depends on the severity.
If you're in a school where there's actual like staff bullying going on, gaslighting going on, like genuinely things that you would label as toxic, and that is a bad label, right? Not just a throwaway label.
Yeah. Then
in that situation, I think you have a right to honestly be a bit annoyed at those colleagues. If you were the person who actually stood up for the school and put your head above the parapet and you're thinking, oh, finally, guys, look, we've been mistreated for 4 years and we've got Ofsted coming in now, the only people who can actually hold these guys to account. We're all going to tell them, right? Because this is horrendous, this toxic school, and they mistreat and bully us. And then you find out that none of your other colleagues did, and you're all there fighting behind the scenes at staff rooms and meetings, saying, "Yeah, this is terrible. We're going to go to the governors and do this." You're like, you have a right, I think, to be a little bit annoyed at those people, because that was your chance to raise it, and now nothing's going to change. So,
and the only thing that will change is you'll be treated like crap.
Yeah, I know that person's now going to get bullied out of the school or whatever. Like, it's horrendous.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it does link to what you were talking about realistically. I just think you have to look at everything through the lens of your entire school and whether it's worth it or not, honestly. And those situations, that's a chance to really stand up for what you believe in. I don't know, people might listen to this episode today and be like, oh, Dylan's so unempathetic or just idealistic, and it's just not how schools run. That also might be true. And I want people to understand that in my career, I did a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with all the time, because like I said, it's my job. I've got to do so. Because I disagree with something doesn't mean I won't do it, but there is a line.
Yeah.
And for me, that line became my working rights and the time with my family.
Yeah.
And when it went past that, it wasn't enough to say someone else is going to do it. So that sounds like it's their own fucking issue. Like, oh, someone else would have to do it though. Well, they could not, couldn't they? They could not.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're just scared to not.
Okay.
So I'll just give up my time now, shall I? Is that the answer?
Because we're all scared of the head teacher.
For me, it wasn't the answer. Okay. So for me, I was just like, there's nothing that will get in the way of me spending time with Rory. Yeah. Sorry. Like, if you're okay, it's not a me thing at that point. Sorry, guys.
Ultimately, I feel the same. By the way, I just
You want to look nice for the podcast listeners?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I can't. It's hard to explain really because I do.
It's not hard,
because I do feel exactly the same. I think you've pretty much nailed it. I think there's a risk of sometimes coming across unempathetic.
Of course there is.
When really, like,
I'm the most empathetic. Am I unempathetic?
Depends what it is.
But am I unempathetic with this situation?
No, not with this.
That's what I mean. Like, so to paint it as just you don't care about other people, I actually personally find that quite insulting.
Yeah.
Because I've spent so much of my time defending,
trying to fight
this profession and fighting for other people.
I think that's what's got to come with it. I guess what I'm trying to get at is I wouldn't want anyone to ever listen to this podcast and not think that last part.
Yeah, sure.
And just think, oh, Dylan told me that I should just go home and refuse to do it.
And not care about other people.
And then I'm sort of like, it comes part and parcel for me with you've got to then fight for other people as well. If you're willing to stick your neck out like that, it has to come with standing up for other people as well. Because you're the only person that you might be one of the only people in your school that's willing to do that.
Yeah.
And other people need that. They just don't, they don't have the same mind as you, and they might not want to do it, but like really, they deserve the same rights. So you have to fight for them as well. I think that's what has to come with our message every time.
We left our first school when we personally weren't treated badly because we saw how horrendously other people had been treated consistently in that place.
Yeah.
Right? Because I got to the point where I thought, this is going to happen to me eventually. Stick up for yourselves, everyone. I've been trying to do this. I've called out the management for what they've done directly to their face in a 3-hour exit interview when they couldn't fathom how, what? You don't want all this stuff that I'll promise you for next year? No, because I don't want to work for you because I've seen what you've done to other people.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But we didn't do it to you. I don't care.
You probably will.
Yes, exactly. Like, that is the selfish part of it.
Yeah.
It will also come back to you, but also, sorry, they're my friends who had mental breakdowns because of how they've been treated.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I think I'll leave, actually. So it's always embedded in what's best for everyone.
100%. And I'll leave you with this. When I left said trust, I was asked to do an exit questionnaire, and it was an online form. It wasn't anonymous. It was just very much, give us your thoughts on the way out. I've got to try and find it one day. It is the most savage thing I've ever written in my whole life. And I very, very much, even though I'd already been doing this, I put it on in official words and because I knew the governors were going to read this. And I put in there I like called out everything. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, this school bullies staff and insert exact staff member's name were bullied out of this school and end up this happened to them, this happened to them, this happened to them. And I think that's disgusting, which is ultimately why I'm leaving. And I wrote all this down. It was like the ultimate last row. I was like, oh, what the you gonna do to me? I don't care. Like, I'll just tell them exactly what I think.
Go and listen to episode 5 of this.
yeah. Whether it got read, I never know what came of that feedback.
It probably got read.
It probably got filtered out and
deleted.
That's straight in the bin. Oh, he didn't leave any exit.
Have you got the exit interview? Yeah, he said he's really sad to be leaving.
Yeah.
Funny enough, you got a bad reference after that.
Yeah, I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did. Funny enough. Yeah.
Maybe you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, maybe it's me.
Right, guys, thank you so much. Leave us a review if you've got this far. Share it with someone you think might enjoy this episode. Why not, eh? And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you to next time.
See you to next tomorrow.
McDaddies.